Exactly.
Come on, man.
I even did security for Cameo when they came to the concerts in the UK.
He hit me with a couple too. I was like, what?
Luther Vandross.
So you did Cameo. I mean, you did security for Cameo, right?
Yeah.
I did security for Heavy D.
See, you're younger than me. I know that you've revealed your age. You're slightly younger than me.
But look,
we did PE. I did a PE. I did Eric B. and Rakim.
I also did one when I was in college for George Clinton.
Wow.
Nah, hold on. I didn't hear this story.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff you don't know yet.
I know, that's why we here though. So I can get him up.
See, George Clinton, do fries go with that shake?
Then we'll rock. And then it's just conversation. The icebreaker is London slang. Right?
London slang, okay.
So I'm always like, I watch Top Boy, what's that thing, Blue Story. I watch all those, right? And like when you call me a younger, I wasn't catching it. I was like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Because, I say OG. And so I'm watching Top Boy and I'm watching Blue Story. And in Blue Story, they banging on each other and they like, yo, oh, that's your younger. That's your younger. That's right. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm catching it. So now I'm watching and I'm locked in and I'm like, nah, I get it.
Right.
Manage them.
You still gotta watch The Block.
The Block, right?
Attack the Block.
Attack the Block.
Now,
you gotta watch. You'll pick up a lot of slang on that.
That is classic. If you guys haven't watched Attack the Block, I've watched it. I brought these up. They were young. They weren't supposed to be hearing swearing. But I said, you know what? You're going to hear this. This is South. Because that's South London. That's where I'm from.
Okay. So
everything that's my ends.
Okay.
All right. Attack the Block. Is that like our Menace to Society?
No. It's like
Colors.
It's like 50% Menace to Society, but 50% like sci-fi. Yeah, like it's
and they've got some humor in there. But you're going to see, if you see that and you say, right, that's where Abdul Hat's from. This is from South London.
Okay.
As we said, from the
I got to do my research. You make sure you remind me. Attack the Block. Add that to the note.
It's entertaining. It's good.
From start to end.
Okay. All right. We're gonna check in.
Oh, for sure. That jacket will work. That's lambskin or something over there. That'll work.
Shearling.
Yeah, I'm something like soft on it, Okay.
That's that Shaft vibe, right?
Yeah, he just don't know anything about that,
We know about
he only used to the butters, you know what I'm saying?
The butter soft?
The soft on the outside, you don't understand, but it's got to be a little rugged sometimes to get through the weather and shit, you know what I mean? So
we're going to get there. I need them peas first. Yeah. I need them peas. That's pounds. All right, guys. We're going to start it off here with a countdown. You do my synchronizing clap for me.
King and Yates, they bridging the gap from the U.S. to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap from the U.S. to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no why. Commence from generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates, after racks. But really trying to get some wins, not just padding stats. Two basketball lovers through happenstance. Built a bond that led to greatness that advanced.
Yes, sir. BTG Nation. We back. Episode 11. It's really 11, OG?
It's quick, man. It seems like we just started.
Listen, man, talk about a humble journey, right? Like 11 episodes on the second season. I think that may be like 38 altogether or something like that. I don't think people really understand how we put this together, but that story is still to be told. BTG Nation, what's up? Your young OG, your OG here. And I guess we can't even like hold no surprises, right? Our production level ain't there yet, but we can hide the bucks. But we got a special guest with us today. We'll give a real formal introduction in depth a little bit later. But we got Dr. Abdul Haq Baker. As I said, doctor, one of many titles. The story here is amazing. As you know, Bridging the Gap is always about connecting the dots, right? There's a miscommunication. There's a gap between our older generations and our younger, and that amount of information that doesn't get passed on, that becomes a problem for a young buck who's out there trying to figure things out on their own. So, our platform here, not just for basketball, right? Because we do say basketball is the greatest metaphor for life. Sorry to you football guys. But that's just the way it is for us. But you guys know, we always tell our athletes, you are multifaceted. You aren't just a basketball player, soccer player, whatever sport. You can do several things. So here we exemplify that. And today is going to be, I think, first of all, shout out to Willie Ways for last week's episode. I mean, that's our guy. He that's who you heard on the intro. That's a guy that I know from high school. He's actually in Australia. Okay. And we connected and he did some energy with us. And we got something nice there. But we always do a check-in. So before we jump into the pod or any updates, OG King, how you feeling, man?
I'm alive. You know how it goes. Every day is a ever-changing day, stressful day, but this is a chance right here where we get an opportunity to relax and let loose and discuss some things that are important to us. It's just not about business here. So so this is my my getaway, my escape right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Any cool things happen this week though? Did we do anything cool this week?
Man, we do something cool every day.
Yeah, we're that's energy.
We're completely different than everybody else.
Oh, he acting brand new.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
New.
I'm always spreading humble sauce. But when it's an opportunity to talk about us and what we do and what we bring every day, it's a different energy. And the parents, the players, they know that.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. That's facts. Mr. Abdul Haq, doctor, how are you feeling today?
Very well. Very happy to be here. Good team. Sitting between two giants, literally. But very comfortable.
That's love. That's love. That's love. You just had a long flight back. Well, I don't even know if it's long. Everything.
Not that long.
No, not long. Came back from Saudi.
Hours, from Jeddah.
Okay. And how was that? I know.
That was nice. Yet another one of my daughters, 3 daughters in 6 months married. And again, 3 daughters, all marrying Omars. Says something about the name Omar.
Oh, man. Wow.
How's iftar and how's dinner going to be with everybody together when everybody's Omar? What's the nickname?
That's gonna be mad. So I'm calling them because, as you know, our wives rule the roost. So it's going to be I mentioned my daughter's name, then the Omar. Yeah. So the Omar belongs to the daughter.
Okay.
So then that's how I identify all of them.
Hey, listen, man. You know what? There's one person I'm not worried about confusing names as you. And we'll unpack that reason why a little bit later, but I'm sure you'll get everybody's name right. A couple Omars is nothing. This episode won't be a whole lot of basketball talk, but, as the season progresses, a lot of things pops up. And we're just going to mention a few things before we jump into the episode. So OG called me. We talked on the phone today. And, it's been a lot of wild, reckless flagrant fouls midair, right? Caruso's out like 6 to 8 weeks after just missing some time because of a hard foul from Grayson Allen that took him out of the air. And we've seen a few of those this week where people were going for some blocks in the air, but they're a little bit dangerous. OG, how you feeling on that?
Well, my stance is, do whatever you can to keep somebody from getting the shot up. But that's when you're on the ground. Mm-hmm. Once you're in the air, it's off limits, man. You gotta, then you're in a situation where you gotta catch the individual before they hit the ground because, at the end of the day, you guys are all hoopers and you guys gotta look out for each other. But, it's an unwritten rule, man, where you don't affect anybody in the air.
Yeah.
Because, once you're in the air, anything can happen.
Especially as a pro.
Yeah.
Right? You in the air, it's just a code. Right, we always talk to our players about just being a part of the basketball community because it's really, really small. It's like a fraternity. So we're trying to, kill each other on the court, competitors, but there's a limit because we feed our families, right? So Caruso mixing 6 to 8 weeks, off a play that could have prevented. That's one of those things where you can't cross that line. But we'll talk a little bit more about that stuff later. We hear all the Laker chatter.
Every week.
And we've been saying the same thing since the very beginning, but eventually time will tell. Maybe we've been saying John Wall to everywhere but LA.
Right.
And now we're getting a little bit of that action. We'll see. After All-Star break, they always get us what we need to see. So we'll see. But let's kick it. Let's get into it. OG, I like to, whenever we have a guest, you're only our second live guest. Only our second. The first one, professional WNBA player, all-time great, probably the best basketball player to ever come out of our city in Alexandria, Virginia, Tiara Ruffin-Pratt. She was actually playing for a club here. And while she was here, and I went to high school with her, coach was there, and while she was here, she graced us with her presence, not only on the podcast, but to also speak to one of the young ladies we have in the program. But she was our only other guest. So we take our guests seriously. When you come on live, there's no chump change here. Like, everybody that we bring on is solid. P. We're pushing P. Everybody's on the P level, right? So we do an icebreaker that's tailored to, backgrounds and things. So here in this side of the world, I think Coach and I both agree on this. The UK got this side of the world on lock, right? There's a lot of things that we haven't run into until we got here. And one of the biggest things is the London slang.
That's right.
Yeah, it's different for me. It's different for me. So I'm going to go down a list of some slang and I don't know, maybe OG will check in and say kind of what our comparative stuff is. And I know I'm going to butcher this. I know I'm going to butcher it. I know, but, I got to work on my British accent anyway. So let's see what we got here. And I'm sure some of these things align with us, but you let me know if there's something that you put in. All right. And Illy, back there, you the young buck. So if I'm getting it wrong, you gotta let me know. Don't let me look crazy on TV, on podcast. All right, the first one we got is Ali. I lie. It's a synonym for in it.
In it.
So where you using that? You using ally?
No, that's his generation.
That's his generation.
We're still using that old school in it. And you get me.
Okay, and you get me. So ally is the one you throw out there. That's that new generation, Young Thug Gunner. Y'all still in Public Enemy, right?
That's right.
All right. And then we got allow it.
You allow it. Not allow it.
It's just allow
it.
Okay. So you giving me the British English, the Merriam-Webster I need the Urban Dictionary version.
So right there, that word, how you used it there, you got to allow that.
Allow that. Okay. I got to stop it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now we got bait.
Yeah.
All right. So what is that? So bait, where I'm from?
It's not good.
So it depends though, right? Because in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, bait is
not good.
What we
don't even go into the description.
Okay, yeah. So what is bait for you guys?
Bait is something like, if you say that's bait, that's something that's going to draw unnecessary attention. So that thing is bait.
So this is talk for basically if you're in the street, right?
Yeah.
Like you putting it out there for us to hang. Okay. All right. Banging. I mean, I think we all got banging, right? Bear.
But how do you use banging? What do you call it?
Context. Banging can be the song is banging, the food is banging.
See, that's the American context. For us now, when you see some of my old school, and I say they're bangers, they're people we move people.
Yeah, okay.
So you're saying you move. You know what I mean?
Oh, you got to remember that when you say that one.
Because when you say banging for my generation, that's like Crips and Bloods banging.
It's still that. But what the young book got right here is it say banging means sick and good.
Yeah, so sick, that's their generation. Yeah. So sick, good, banging.
No. Banging means good in my generation too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it started with Bloods and Crips.
Yeah, it depends on what side of the street you on.
Yeah. So like he's gonna get banged up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, this one is a little different for me. Chirp sync.
Yeah.
I don't even. How do you? What's going on? Make sure you're speaking to the mic for this one.
So, you see a nice lady, and you say, "I'm gonna chirps her."
Okay.
Now, so if you think it comes from, birds, when you hear them chirping and you see the peacock showing off its feathers and everything, So when we're speaking to a girl, we're going to go to her with our best words, our best side, and we're going to chirp her.
Okay, see, chirp for me is like Boost Mobile.
Chat her up, sweeter, chirps.
See, chirps, when I hear chirp, is Boost Mobile. You ever seen that commercial?
No.
It's a walkie-talkie, and you hit on the side, and you can chirp your friend. And that's what that was. Yeah, for you don't know, we'll put the old Boost Mobile commercial up for the chirp.
Chirps?
Yeah.
Man, you ain't getting no bras in the States with that.
No, we want that, but in the UK now, if they heard like, this guy's going to chirps her, they're like, okay. Does he think he can chirps me? He can't chirps me.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
Okay. All right. This is one that I use. Calm. All right. Everything's calm. Calm how you get in the sentence.
That's right.
I use that one. I'm cool with that. All right. And this one we definitely know is from y'all Dapper.
That's old school.
That's old school.
Man, that's old school in the States too. You know, that's how Dapper Dan started. Man. Come on, man.
Right,
like,
exactly,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Dapper Dan even had a king.
OG is Dapper. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. That's old. That's just old.
All right. And then we got Galdem.
No.
I don't know if I said it right.
No, you haven't said it. It's from the Yardi Jamaican twang.
Okay.
The Galdem.
All right. Oh, you got to give me that again. That was a twang. That was extra jerk sauce.
Yeah, so you said Galdem.
Galdem.
You've got to say the gal.
All right, I got to work on that.
So that's me. That's when you're saying.
OG, let me hear you say it.
Galdem. You know what I'm saying? That's a late night, you know what I'm saying? Yo, what happened to it? I Galdem.
He just made his whole world up.
You're talking about girls, plural.
Yeah, group of them.
Yeah.
All right. So, in it, I hear in it all the time, and I'm just like, what word is that supposed to be, though? Like, where you get in it from?
In it is ain't it.
Okay.
Isn't it?
All right.
That's the correct vernacular.
All right.
But in it.
Who started this, though? Like, where were y'all at when y'all was just like, in it is going to be like...
That's like South London, East London.
Okay.
And South London, many would tell you, nowhere else exists except South London.
Sound like Queens, right?
Everyone knows South London. Mm-hmm. And the language and the twang and everything that comes.
Like when you say, you know what I'm saying, we in it. You know what I mean? Like this, like it's about to go down. We in it. We about it.
We won't know. It'd be like, if I'm agreeing with you, like you'd say, yeah, I really like, you're eating a meal. I really like that chicken. In it.
Okay.
I love that drink. In it. Are you coming together? Do you agree with me?
Okay.
So it's something where you're endorsing.
Okay.
In it though.
Okay.
That was a serious dunk. In it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay.
I'm like, that making me nervous, man. Like, am I wrong or right? All right. The next one that I got is a long list of them, but Vex.
You don't say the vexed. That's how an English proper speaking person.
Oh, that's the white folk.
So yeah, I'm vexed. You vexed me.
Okay, and that's like annoyed.
Yeah, annoyed.
Okay, we had that. That's U.S. hip hop right there.
Okay,
I'm vexed.
Okay,
yeah.
But you say I'm vexed.
That's in the era of like PE, KRS-One, those guys.
But we dropped the ED at the end. I'm vexed.
Okay,
and if you want to say it with the Jamaican twang, you don't even use the V.
X.
That thing vexed me. B. That vexed me.
Okay. We'll see how that works.
And that's raw.
All right. Look, man.
Hold on now. Are we coming from, is this introspective coming from South London or Jamaica? What is it now?
Just Jamaica, the slang from Jamaica influenced the vernacular, street vernacular, up and down the UK.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Up even white youth, you've got white youth, you've got Asian youth using all that slang. So the black vernacular influenced right across the board.
Sound a lot like hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? It sound like it probably got a heavy reggae scene, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It sound a lot like hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. Wherever we go. All right, that's a couple more, right? These two together, younger and older.
Right. So
now, I'm thinking that's just like an adjective describing it, but it's a different energy.
Like, you're my younger.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and that younger means that you're coming up through the ranks, following in my trajectory, my footsteps. So we laid the foundation, and you're younger.
Oh, okay.
But you will respect your elders.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear the elders are there, you fall back.
Yeah. So that's like OG, and that's like the OG way we say.
Saying youngins, old heads.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
all right, last one, men them.
No. The man them.
The man them.
Yeah, so it's man them.
I gotta holler at Drake and get some lessons because he appropriated it perfectly. Because I ain't on it. I'm not on it. The man them.
So you could say the man them. I'm going to see the man them, or you can add the S, which is a Z at the end. Okay. The man's them.
I'm gonna say the man's them in it.
Yeah. With Ilyas and me, when we go back to the UK, we're going to see the man's them. Okay. That's our people.
And then you throw in it at the end?
You can say in it.
So that's when you're going to see your people, right?
Yeah.
So we say go back and we see my mans in them.
Yeah.
We say, no, we're going to see the man's them.
Okay.
All right. That's all there, right? But what's so cool about this, and you talked about the vernacular, the slang, and how we adjust, right? Some people call it a code switching, right? But we're able to play both sides. Right. And it's natural. You know, some people will be like, yo, like, you know, why you act so different when you get there? It's just chameleon. I can be in the streets with men, though. Right. I can be in the office.
That's right. That's right.
Or I can be in the mosque, as we'll get to a little bit later. But what's interesting is the culture that always influences everything. It has a little melanin in it.
Yeah. Always.
It looks a little bit like us.
Always.
All right.
And that's one of the reasons we see there's such resistance around the globe. They love it, but they don't want it to dominate.
Exactly.
Right.
But they can't stop, as we say in the Public Enemy days, you can't stop the bum rush.
Right. Sure.
All right. So let me give a bit of a formal introduction here. I am not going to go too heavy because I want some of you guys to go do your own research, right? The OG here is a doctor, PhD, right? Dr. Anthony, formerly known as Anthony Baker. He converted to Islam in 1990. It's Abdul Haq Baker. He was background in the legal profession for 10 years. He's also a community leader, leader of educational management, and also the chairman of the Brixton Mosque. There's a lot to your story, OG. There's a lot there, a lot that I don't even know if I can unpack it with an introduction. But I'll start with the story with how we met, right? And we met. All right. Oh, I'm getting a signal. Before we talk about how we met, I got a surprise.
Okay.
I got a surprise, right?
Is it the man's them?
The man's them came through, and they came through with the package, and it's banging, right? Mashallah. So my man AK is here. For the new year, we came with a new intro, and we also made some new friends. And so we had some friends over at Manscaped. Shout out to our partners at Manscaped. They sent us some free gear and free products for us to try out. Valentine's Day is around the corner, and it's time to, if you don't already have it as a New Year's resolution, you should add it to your New Year's resolution as a man and groom. Get yourself together, you know what I'm saying? Get through the weeds, hack them, get it all together, not just for your sake, but for your lady's sake as well. And so we don't want you to spend the holidays alone, but even if you are and you're not sure, you need to be prepared regardless. So what we have here is the Performance Package 4.0, big dog. And what's crazy is Manscaped is something that I was introduced to when I was in college, right? You know, you're in college, you're a young buck, you trying to figure all this stuff out and everything. And the Manscaped I was introduced to then is not the Manscaped we see right now, big dog.
Well, they've evolved.
Man, have they evolved. Like, it's a whole different bag right here. Are you familiar with Manscaped, Abdul Haq?
No, I've heard the name, but not familiar.
Listen, so Abdul Haq, you have 16 of those young children, right? You got 16 in that tribe, right?
And 3 stepchildren.
3 stepchildren. How many of them are young men?
All of them.
All of them, right?
So 6, including Ilyas right there. 2 additional men, so that's 8 men.
So this is a pack right here that they need. Okay. They need this right here. So the first thing we got in this pack, that's probably the most important, right, is we call this the lawnmower 4.0, right? It's special. It gets all the good things. I'm going to let OG tell you what's special about the lawnmower here. You go ahead and hold this here.
Cool. All right. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the Signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is designed to trim hair on all areas of your body. I definitely need that. You know what I'm saying? The advanced skin-safe technology is designed to reduce grooming accidents on those sensitive areas. I've had that happen before, you know, when I was a young buck. It also comes equipped with a 4,000 LED spotlight that's bright enough to shine a light to your true love this year. This package also includes the Weed Whacker, nose and ear trimmer, nose and ear hair trimmer to whack all the worst of your weeds. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts: their shed travel bag and their anti-chafing boxer briefs to keep your boys cool and collected.
Yes.
So that's something I definitely like. All of that is stuff that I know I need, but sometimes I hesitate to buy just because it's so expensive and the quality isn't that great.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. But Manscaped came through. And it's been tough to find stuff like this since we moved.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And so the beauty of it, Manscaped delivers everywhere internationally. You got the ball toner, the ball deodorant, so it can make sure everything is smelling good. I am most excited about the underwear, though. Like I said, they didn't have all this extra when I was looking at Manscaped, and this microfiber underwear. And you know, that's like one of the gifts that men always get: socks, underwear, and ties.
That's right.
But the underwear that we always get is stuff that's like so hard on your skin. It's uncomfortable. It's just not something that's breathable, something that you can use. And with us being, you know, active every day, we need something like this.
Exactly.
And also, it's also unattractive because you'll be getting your aunt or your mum or your grandmother buying you this underwear.
For sure.
Those big off Y fronts.
For sure.
You would not wear anywhere.
For sure.
Talk about it. So, we share. You know, you hear in the intro, here you go, AK, that we talk about give and assist, right? And so this package that we got, it's not just for us, all right? So OG has an announcement, a little call to action for you guys. It's how you can get your performance package 4.0.
Wait, first, can I talk about the liquid formulations they have?
Oh, yeah, so he got more.
I mean, we got a little bit more here. For extra freshness, the performance package also includes Manscaped's liquid formulations. The shower, while the toner is the perfect on-the-go weapon that is designed to keep your body smelling wonderful all day and all night long. That's something I need because, you know, my shower and everything, I get ready to go to practice. I'm smelling good.
Yes.
But by the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, the day isn't done for us, but
and we're training.
Everything I've been doing is done. You know what I'm saying? So this is perfect. So, you know, in terms of the call to action, you know, get 20% off and free shipping with the code BTG Nation at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use the code BTG Nation.
Yes, the code will be right there on the screen. It'll be in the description. It'll be everywhere. On our link tree, it's the first thing up top. Again, BTG Nation at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping. You'll get it. We'll make sure you get something, Illy. We'll find a way to get you in there. You got to make sure the younger brothers are all solid. But to transition back into the story, I converted to Islam, or reverted back to Islam in June before I went home. I've been telling everybody that was, this is the first time we're talking about it on the pod in depth a little bit, but it's a decision that I had been thinking about for like 4 or 5 years before taking the action. I took a lot of time to read on my own. I think around the age of 25 is when I was getting there. And that was also the age where a lot of things were transitioning in my life. I was in graduate school towards the end of it, and I was heavy on Malcolm X. Like his autobiography was heavy, and that was like the pivoting point for me. But America is America. And so because of my OGs, I never walked into a direction because the crowd was going there. If it didn't seem right, I would stand back and I would look at stuff. And so I wanted to learn more about Islam, but I didn't want to have a skewed view of it from somebody that was tailoring it to his own thing. So in America, you got different sects and different things that are talking about what Islam is, but the practices are different. So I didn't want to do anything. I was waiting for somebody I could look for as a mentor at that time. That might have been like 2015 and 16. Fast forward 2019, I get a call and I'm coming to Dubai, not knowing much about Dubai except for what I see on Instagram, but that's a story we're going to talk about today. And I'm like, man, that's interesting. So while we're coming with OG and I'm here doing the business things, personally, I'm like, man, I'm in an Islamic country. So this is my first time to where Dubai may not be the traditional space that people may want to see, more strict or whatever, like a Saudi. But for me, it's the only place where Islam is a part of everyday life, right? So I get to see how people react with everyone else, how they treat everyone else. You know, you get to hear the adhan and everything. So it was my first time to look at Islam plainly without, Nation of Islam or anybody else dictating it. So, I learned a lot and I was able to get to a space where it's like, all right, I'm ready. It's in my heart. And once I converted, I told my wife, I was like, because I still didn't feel a part of it. So I told my wife, I was like, yo, I need to find a Black person to help me guide through this. And she was like, why? Right? And I was like, just certain things that you just can't put to words, but we understand, right? Because although we are a part of Islam, no matter where we are, there's still something that separates us, right? Or they're trying to do that. And so I was like, I don't ever want to conform. So after the pandemic, I found out about the English speaking sermon at the masjid, got there, and lo and behold, I had no clue it was going to be you. And I was like, man, first time going too, and I'm struggling with prayer. So I get there and I was like, oh man, I got to talk to him afterwards. So afterwards, I just go up to the OD and I'm like, hey man, I'm struggling. I need help. Can you help me? Blah, blah, blah. And without a doubt, without even a second thought, he was like, I got you. And so since then, one call away, one text away, everything's been cool. But, it's a story about you that I haven't been able to hear yet. And everybody speaks highly of it, right? And you're a revert yourself. So I'll leave this platform, this space open for you to kind of get into where it is you come from and how we ended up meeting.
I'll try and summarize that and then go back to coach as well, because there's some parallels that we're able to jump into on that journey. I think I've been in Saudi for 18 years and I came here a year ago. And so when they realized I was here and they said, we want you to do the sermons. And I was like, I haven't come for that. I said, no, we know the work you've done in the UK. You need to do this. But my journey is, I was a Roman Catholic, raised as a Roman Catholic, always had conflict with the Trinitarian concept. Mm-hmm. And also looking at the religion that had been placed upon me, thinking, well, okay, this has been placed upon me. But like you, I didn't like going with the crowd. I wanted to inquire for myself and everything. So I'd be dipping in and out of Christianity, didn't know anything about Islam. I thought Islam was for the Arabs and for the Asians. So I didn't have anything to do with it, didn't know anyone, except one Asian who was amongst my gang. Mm-hmm. And we say gang. I think if we say gang, we didn't consider ourselves a gang, but today that's how we'd be described. And he saw us. He saw how we were. We weren't ones who looked for trouble. We weren't ones who were looking for the darker side of things. But in that lifestyle, that always surrounds you. So we were searching because we saw some of our youngers got killed, things happening there. Some of us knew our pathways will lead us either to jail or death. These were the two paths that we've seen. Racism that we were facing, so we were always kicking back against the system. But while that was happening, I was still making my inroads in the system. I was in the legal profession. I had my own cases. I was moving somewhere. Only black guy there saying this guy's moving somewhere, but still facing the brutality of the system. Mm. What happened to George Floyd? If you read my case, and I've still kept my case notes and everything, my life was saved by my gang. So when that George Floyd thing happened, it triggered things that I had not addressed.
What do you mean when you say your life was saved by your gang? If you can get into details,
no, I can.
Allegedly.
We can. Okay. When we were coming back from, you've heard of the Notting Hill Carnival in the UK, mm-hmm. or the West End, every August they get together, and we were coming back from that. And some violence had spilled out in the evening, which usually happens. So we got out of that. There's about 20 of us. We got onto the train. But then we were attacked by the police on the train. And as I was they saw me as the head one of the posse. And as they were pulling me out of the train, they had me by my neck. And it been pulling me in one direction, pulling me in the other direction, dislocated my finger. My friends saw my body start going limp because I was being suffocated. So then my friends jumped up, said, you've got to let him go. So a struggle ensued. We fell out onto the platform, a whole lot of violence. Now, they then pinned me down. I had a boot on my face. My arms were behind my back, still suffocated me. So the fighting got really violent until they saw I was safe. But we didn't get away from that. They separated us, took us separately along on different platforms, different carriages, back to Paddington Police Station, kept us there. Now, I've still got the scars from because they didn't use normal methods on us. Of course. So when that happened, and I was in the legal profession, and my wife was expecting with my first child. So my whole career was looking like it was going to end. Right. Now, when we went to trial, we went to court, now they sentenced or either let my friends go, but the judge singled me out because I worked in the legal profession. You're in a white profession. Right. You're in an area that you shouldn't be in. This is not the purview of black people. And he wanted to make an example of me. And he said, I'm not going to sentence you today. I'm going to sentence you another time. You're a nasty bit of work, Mr. Baker. You're the ringleader. You will come back in a few weeks.
This was in the 80s?
This was 89, 90, the 90s, beginning of the 90s.
Okay. That's an interesting time. So during that 89, 90 time, OG, what was brewing in the streets for black men in America? Because there's a lot of similarities between how we live in America and then how our brothers who look just like us in the UK but live through a different culture are going through some of the same things.
Well, it's not just necessarily pinpointed in one generation or so. There's something, whether it's been the US or the UK for 20, 30 years. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that every year I could think back to 2 or 3 incidents that were similar to that. It's just an ongoing scenario that we all have to live through, and as time goes on, you tend to get numb to things and you forget things. And so by you stating what happened to you, that brings back a lot of memories of things that happened to me. Because I had something similar happen to me in Baltimore in 95, and so, it's unfortunately, it is an ongoing struggle, right? No matter what era, what country you're in, what area or what era it is or whatever, it's something that's just ongoing and we have to, unfortunately, deal with it and move on. Now, what I wanted to ask you was to kind of clarify to our viewers is that when you say my gang, see, for some people, when you say your gang, they're thinking of in a negative tone. Right. They're not understanding that you mean just your guys. Yeah. Just your guys.
And exactly that. So, for example, I'm putting that label gang just as a descriptor because that's what other people are familiar with. But we were just friends. Right. And one of the common denominators that we didn't choose, that we didn't but we identified as we bonded, all of us, 20, 30 of us, all came from single parent families. Either our fathers had died or divorced. So we gravitated towards each other. But we also had a strong maternal aspect. Like our mothers, my mum, for example, said to me, treat women as you'd like me and your sister to be treated. Right. Yep. So we carried that code. So the nihilism from hip hop about women, hoes, we weren't with that. Even the lyrics that we would use, we weren't with that. So they were my guys. They were my peeps. They were the man them. Okay. And so what happened is when they saw this brutality happening, now we've been going through that since 13. I could be 10 meters, 20 meters from my home. The police would stop us. There were no mobile phones in those days. Phones in those days. I'd say, I live just there. They'd like, you live just there? Yeah, really. They would proceed to either tear open our clothes. The female police officers were the worst because we became like pieces of meat for them. They wanted to see if we had crown jewels down in the nether regions. Right. And they would humiliate you in doing that. You resist. Then you had the male police coming out with the batons and everything like this. So we've been going through that. But the level of violence that was on that particular day, the police were up for it.
Right.
So when they attacked me and my friend saw they're going to break his neck, he's losing consciousness, his body's going limp. He's got flung onto the floor. The officer was standing full with his foot on my face.
Right.
And I could see the platform. I couldn't turn my head. And the knee was in the arch of my back. So when some of my friends got involved, they're as big as you two, they actually had to control them, and they put 6 pairs of handcuffs from here right up to the arm just to control them.
Yeah.
And I'll give a shout out to my boy and brother, Aslam, who I became Muslim with, because he broke every single one of those cuffs that were put on.
Oh, we gotta go. We gotta big that up, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
So when I hear that, right, you talk about 13, and that's really the age when they don't look at us as kids anymore. They look at us as adults. Men, as adults, right? And so that's where our culture, we're so resilient. And sometimes that's like a slap in the face, right? When we call our women resilient, like, why do we have to be resilient in the first place, right? But what outlets do you have in the UK to where, what do you guys turn to? What did you gravitate to? Because I know for Coach and I, hip hop and basketball, like, that's for sure. There's a basketball court always available. The music of that time was reflecting what was going on with him. And even for us, we could go back and listen and everything. And then movies, John Singleton is going to come out with something that reflects. But, like, did you guys also look to the West, to America, and see the similarities? And then what did you have that was your own in the UK that was similar? So
exactly, very good point. We did look to America to an extent, especially with the music, because that was an outlet for us. Public Enemy, EPMD, all of these ones coming out, the conscious lyrics that were there. And that resonated very, very heavily with us. But then looking at the violence we continued to face with the police, when NWA came, and when they came with, the particular song, and that tore the roof down. Everything we did, we said, this is what we're feeling. This emulates the violence that we feel and the retaliation that we feel towards them in that way. So we were making our own music. But then we started moving to saying, no, we're going to speak to our own situation. So that's when the British hip hop started rising, and it was speaking to our own things. And as you know now, we've got grime and we've got Stormzy and all of them speaking into a different genre, but the same sort of scenario and environment that they're actually facing. So there was that. Some of the big guys, like Aslam and these friends of mine, they went into basketball. They played for semi-professional Kingston. He was getting MVP. 1 or 2 of them tried to cross over to the US. Now, myself, another slang that you'll know, I was a baller. So we stayed with the soccer, as you call it, football, as we called it. And that kept us focused as well. But there was racism there, because I don't know, it must have happened in basketball as well. You'd have the white coach saying to you, temper it down, don't use your skill, do as I say, keep it basic, and you'll go far. And many didn't go through because the very raw talent that they had became suppressed. So we had football, as I said, and music, which were our avenues to I wouldn't say escape, because you couldn't escape. Yeah,
but mentally it just gives you a moment to be you.
Exactly.
And just have a moment of bliss.
Well, when you start to play sports, and what Ryan is saying in terms of like escape, that's a situation right there where no matter who you're playing against, you can even the playing field.
Right, absolutely.
Racism, when you're between the lines, racism doesn't come into play then, because they can't hold you back. No. The coaches can, the officials can try to, but at that very moment, that person opposite that line from you knows that
that's right.
He's got my number.
That's right.
He's got my number.
And that's what they saw. I think some black footballers started rising. And I think that many of the sportsmen today are standing on the shoulders, just like with basketball, because they really penetrated. Unlike the Asian community, even today, they're still not able to penetrate to the degree that black footballers, black people were able to go through. So we appreciated that, and we looked out for each other in that way. And I think, as you said, that escape, because we knew we had a talent.
Yep.
But I want to point on something here that I respect, and I think I have to say this about this particular podcast. One of the things I saw happening with black people is that they saw there was a window that society had given them to go through sports and entertainment. And we went through it and did very well with it. But we had to be careful. And this is something I speak to all black people about. The jigaboo era has gone.
Right.
The watermelon, smiling, jigaboo. I guess they'd figured you play a jigaboo on the plantation. What else could a nigga do that's come from Big Daddy Kane?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because Western white society still wants us to play those parts. We need to be more intelligent than that. Just like what you two are doing here.
Mm-hmm.
You're speaking to a higher level combined with sports.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important
Now,
because then you can become a token.
now that you bring that up, right? Even to this day, to get to a certain level, you still have to play the game, right? To some people, some people have exceeded that, and they don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? We know who those people are. In terms of hip hop, we'll say a Jay-Z, a Kanye. They don't have to do that.
And LeBron, if we say basketball.
But if we're talking about somebody a little bit lower than them, they can still play the game without being a jigaboo.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but my thing is that based on the doors that are locked that they have to kick down, us on the outside, we don't understand the internal battles that these people have. And we need to, instead of jumping down their throat every time they make a mistake, we need to support them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that you brought that up because, like I said, there's so many people now that are still trying to navigate through that industry and take care of their family at the same time, but they're laying the foundation for the next 20 years for our people to come through.
And also, very good point you've made, Coach. They've got someone to look towards, the LeBron James, the Jay-Z's. So while they're playing the game, their eyes on the direction that they left.
Right.
And I would say we have to do more than kick the doors down. I remember when Michelle Obama on the inauguration of her husband spoke about breaking the glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a glass ceiling. Let's be clear. We have a corrugated iron roof.
For sure.
We have to punch through that.
For sure.
Or build a new building.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was, I think when we talk about the parallels in the social justice fight and us having a platform, and you talked about what the footballers face in the UK. And it's similar to how we look at American football. The one thing about basketball players in the NBA, we are 85% of the league. And the basketball players right now, because of what the OGs did before, they run the league, right? They can talk more, right? They can do more. They entice the league to do more for the community. Like you... Oftentimes, I mean, we just talk about the lockout and we watch the Milwaukee Bucks walk out of a game and not play, right? And the league is still the top of where it is and the commissioner and everybody stands behind them. But when I look at a league like the NFL or I look at soccer to where no matter how many Africans or Black people that get into it, it's still dominated by one race or one type of people and they control everything. I don't see much wiggle room for us there, just because that's the culture around it, right? Internationally, it's different.
But it's the fan base.
Yes,
the NFL is when you look at the stadium, or if you've ever been to a game, you know it's predominantly white.
Yes,
so they're going to cater to them,
right?
So,
but I mean, I say hip hop is predominantly purchased as far as like fans go by white folks too, right? I just think we talk about the players and. I remember my mom telling me about how Jackie Robinson took so much and just took so much in and started eating them up alive as ulcers because he just took it just for the next ones to go, right? And I just look at like AB's situation, right? If AB would have been more calculated, like who's somebody, football players don't talk much. Right, they're not out there. They're not publicly with things. But if they had a more calculated space, or they had somebody who was in a space to where it probably has to be a quarterback, right, to be like, look, this is where we're going to stand, and this is where we need adjustments all together. Then the fan base will adjust with the two, but it'll have to happen inside. I just don't know if they're calculated enough, and it's a whole different organization. There's 150 people over there and everything else.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. I disagree with that completely, just because it's all on fan base. When you think about the NBA the NBA is a global sport.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Anybody will go. You can go to an NBA game on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday and see a different demographic of people sitting in certain areas. NFL is predominantly white because you think about it. Mm-hmm. You think about the Super Bowl. That is like a sacred day for the U.S.
Sunday is for the NFL, period, right?
And so, you're talking about a game where the military pays the NFL to play the national anthem, because they're catering to a particular audience, and it's considered, quote unquote, the national white
for sure
pastime in America. And
I'm saying it doesn't have to still be that way. You know what I'm saying? It's been so long. Somebody needs to be the one to come in and knock through that iron-clad door that's up top.
Well,
because the league is, unlike soccer or football, the league is 65, 70% black, except for that one skill position, the quarterback. So when is it going to change?
Can I ask a question on that? Because this is fascinating listening to. We watch from the UK. What is the solidarity like in America by the black sportsmen if 65% are there? And the reason I ask that question is because I look at Colin Kaepernick and what he did was amazing. But then we saw his career just plummeted.
Yeah, OG got some. We can get into the Colin thing. We've never talked about it in full depth, but OG got some things for Colin.
Well, what Colin did was, of course, it's something I salute, okay? In the aspect of the way he did it, I had, not the way he did it, maybe the timing of it. Because my thing is, I would have probably preferred, and it's just my personal opinion because it's not what, I'm not telling him what he should have done, but we needed to see and hear him do this when he was a starting quarterback.
Yes, that's.
You cannot do this now when you're a declining quarterback and your career is in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have the same impact.
Right.
So because now people are saying, in the black community, are saying like, oh, so now you with us.
Yeah.
Because, you look at Colin Kaepernick's background. He was raised by a white family.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Right. So it's not like he was pro-black from the beginning. He's white, had white girlfriends and things like that.
The fro didn't come until later.
Exactly, which is okay, but you all of a sudden you just can't flip the switch and say, boom, now I'm with y'all.
Yeah,
nah, we don't rock like that. And so the thing is, if you're gonna do something, we need to see who you are from the beginning at all times, unless there's something that happens to you that makes you change overnight. And we all know how that is. For example, we've all been young and reckless, and I'm just giving an example. And we may drive without our seatbelt. Mm-hmm. We see a friend of ours get injured or die from not wearing seatbelt, then we're wearing a seatbelt. Right. And I know that's from me being in middle school, where one of my future high school teammates, may rest in peace, died from not wearing and so, then that point on, I said, you know what, I need to make sure I wear my seatbelt. So, in terms of the solidarity, man, it's just, it's tough because we are bred to hate on one another.
That's right.
We are bred to be envious of the other. Mm-hmm. And so until you making $100 million is willing to sacrifice a little bit for myself making $400,000 in a professional sport, he making $2 million, until you're willing to do that, then we're not going to have solidarity. And that's just how it is.
And that's leaning more to my point. Colin was at the bottom when he did that. LeBron going to talk regardless, right? He going to speak on the issues regardless. And there is no league without players. You can't just replace LeBron. And that's where the solidarity comes in, to where it's like, all right, and if Bron does it, Melo, Chris Paul, everybody below is like, okay, if Big Dog's there, we going with him because we know the league is no good without it. But as Coach said, from the Bulls to Booker T. Washington to Frederick Douglass, there was always somebody on the polar opposite. They were always put, like, maybe we should be more passive. Maybe we should be inclusive with them and just listen and go here. And even after that, to Malcolm X and Malcolm, to where we try to pit the two against each other. But once it's time to come together, then, the FBI steps in and does what it does. But it's just interesting because I look at soccer, and sometimes Coach and I would go through the gym and we look at the kids that are playing soccer, right? And Dubai especially is different for the coaches that are still here. It's not like me to where some of my coaches or some of the people I interact with for high school been there since they were like their generation is there. People are transient. They move here. So when I'm looking at these African kids, that athletes, good bodies, they're playing soccer, and I'm understanding, and we both understand there's so much more that they need besides those drills that they're getting right there. There's so much more. And just come play basketball with us. We can get you to school. You can play soccer too while you get there. But we'll give you the tools you need to survive in this life. Right?
Life, yeah.
Like just because that's what basketball did for us. When we talked about that oasis, that bliss, right? I didn't have a white coach until I got to college. And then that was weird.
He was spoiled.
I mean, I was spoiled.
He was spoiled.
That really is a spoiling thing because I'm not just getting basketball. Look, if you want to score 20 points a game, this is how you get it. They're like, look, you're in the newspaper every week for you being a basketball player. When you go outside and anything happens, you're the first person that the police officer is going to recognize. So not only do you have to be on a swivel, but you got to make sure any of the teammates that are around you are solid. Like those type of things at 14, 15. And so when we look at these young men around here, and we're just like, man, people just pushing them into sports just to sign up and fill in a number. And we're like, this can make or break a kid's life.
That's right.
Like period. So that's why I'm looking at like, are there more basketball courts that we can kind of push? Or do we need to find a way to build a Hoop Mountain basketball courts in the UK? So some of those that are getting kicked out, because you may have 15, I don't know how many players on a soccer team, but you may have 15 kids in a club and only 7 of them are getting attention. And so those 8 that's on the end of the bench, they just there, they're collecting the check and they're getting left behind. But if they can roll the ball out, if you can just run the straight line, we can teach you how to play.
That's an idea. And with my organisation, I started in the UK called Street, Strategy to Reach, Empower and Educate Teenagers. The reason why it came to the attention of the government and others is because we were doing exactly that. We didn't have an A and a B team. Mm-hmm. They were all A teams. Mm-hmm. And basically we empowered all of them with the holistic development that you're speaking about. But that can only come from people who know what's happening. Yeah. So, for example, our tagline was Street, it's for you, from people like you.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Because we knew where they were coming from. We knew what the hunger was. We knew the level and the degree of that hunger. And we knew that maybe there were others who could offer them more financially, but that was more short term. And then that became a method of control by dangling this carrot over them. Right. So it's a difficult one. And this is not saying, okay, pro-black, anti-everything else. Mm-hmm. Because a number of my friends who are Arab and white, they get it. They've seen it and they empathize. And they're not doing that sympathetic, all my friends are black. They're like, no, we are with you in this because we understand that you are a part, an integral part and a leading part and an influential part of everything that we do. Mm-hmm. Go back 30 years and listen to the advertisement jingles across the world. And it was these really goofy things that no one would buy the product. But with hip-hop now you've got hip-hop and you've got grime stars now. All of this. We've just had Alicia Keys out here, Expo. Look at the whole culture in UAE. That's why UAE is so cool.
Yeah, it's getting there.
No, shout out to UAE because they're bringing it all in and they embrace black culture, but they're not embracing black culture. They're embracing universal culture.
Yes.
Black culture is universal.
Yep. That's a good segue because we're reverts, right? And I wanted that journey you had in the street and as in the legal profession and everything from there, going from that to finding how did you find your way to say, all right, Islam is the truth for me. It's where I want to go. And what kept you from going sooner maybe? And what was the deciding factor and how did you get there?
Very good question. I think as a non-Muslim, I was still able to make my way in society with my mans them, I'll say like that. And being in the legal profession, being unique in that, people looking at me, even my bosses, like, look at this, we've got this cool black guy from the street, sharp dressed and everything. We're really proud. We've done our bit, social corporate responsibility, which they hadn't done. This was just on my own merit that I'd gone through, alhamdulillah. But then what happened is that there was an emptiness I found, that I was stimulating myself physically, mentally, but there was an emptiness, and I knew it wasn't Christianity. Because I'd been there and I was confused still about the Trinitarian concept. And then I started looking at, this is what was foisted onto us. Like, I'm mixed, half African, lineage pure, and the other half through South American. So I would call myself African South American, because my mum's from Guyana, next to Brazil and Venezuela. And I looked at what Christianity did to the black community. Even in America, when I looked blonde, when I go to some of my friends' mothers' homes and I see this picture of blonde haired, blue-eyed Jesus.
We don't even have to get into that. Yeah. Like, that's, we know. We get that.
So for me, I said to myself, okay, with my friends on the street, we'll make our own religion. We believe in God. We're not going to do bad to people unless they do bad to us. But then it got to a point, as I said, there was a spiritual side where I knew something was missing. And it was bugging us. It was like, okay, we're dying out on these streets. There's things happening. We're going to meet God. So one day, my friend, same friend Aslam, said to me, he was around my home. I bought my second home. I was with my wife, relaxing. She's expecting our first child and everything. And life was good.
How old were you at this point?
23, going 24.
Okay.
And I'd done everything. I had my own nightclub. I was in the legal profession. I'd done everything. And I was thinking, what more is there to do now? And he said to me, look, I'm thinking of becoming a Muslim tomorrow. We've been discussing it, the belief in one God and everything. I said, good for you. You do that and everything. I'm good. He said, but do you believe in Islam? I said, I like everything they're saying. I believe all of the things that are there. Do you believe in Prophet Muhammad? Peace and blessings be upon him. I said, I've learned that he's the same as all the other prophets. There's a uniformity that they all call to one God. Then he asked me one question. And he's bigger than me. And he's one of the only one of two in my posse who were the only ones who's better than me at fighting. But he saw me get angry with him because he asked me this one question. He said, I'm going tomorrow. It was a Saturday night. And it's just me and him. He said, what will you say on the day of judgment to God on why you didn't worship him if you know that this is the truth? And I couldn't answer that question. Right. I sat all night. Ilyas's mum came down in the morning. She saw me still sitting in the same spot. I wasn't smoking a spliff, a reefer as you call it. I wasn't drinking the alcohol, the cognac and whatever I had there. I was just sitting, thinking, what am I going to say? Because I knew that, like my mum said, his mum said, you're not going to live to 30, the lifestyle you've got. Either you're going to be killed, you're going to kill and be in for life. Yes, you're the legal person. You've got the legal profession by day, but we know what you do and your friends do by night.
Right.
Then I decided I can't. And I had my court case coming up from when the police had done what they'd done to me and they charged me. So I said, I'm not going to jail as a non-Muslim. I need a structure. So I had a shower, jumped on the bus. I didn't drive. I thought I'm going to be very concentrated. I said, leave my Audi. I'm not going to get in that. Jumped on the bus, didn't know where the mosque was. I was told it's about 7 kilometers down the road. Then you turn off the main road. It's an old house. I just knew I had to do this because I said to myself, I cannot die or go to jail. And I have not said, at least to God, look, I've done this.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that pushed me. And it was the message of monotheism. The fact that God is God, not Jesus, not Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, not Prophet Abraham, not the Holy Spirit. God is one. And that resonated so much to me that I needed to turn to a higher order. Excuse me, because what we've seen with all of us, we're always being told to look towards something that is limited, something that is finite.
Right.
Now, it might be with God, or it might be something, something separate.
What do you mean by that for our listeners? We got a wide range of listeners.
What I mean is this. So people worship money, women, cars. There's a catch that they worship. People worship personalities, be it Jesus, be it a rock star, be it Mother Teresa. And they may connect them with God to say, yeah, you believe in God, but you need to go through this direction with this person, attach yourself to this, or this money made in this way will draw you closer to God. And for me, I said, no. When I heard the message of Islam was one God, turning just to him, and his last prophet, just like the other prophets, showed us the way, the manual. I said to myself, this makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Makes a lot. And the funny thing is now, when I got to the mosque now, I didn't know what it meant to become a Muslim. So I went in, and there's these hardened men that were there. I was thinking, okay.
What did they look like? Did they look like you, or were they Arabs?
No,
or
they looked like me, and there were some Arabs there, North Africans, Moroccans, and everyone. Then I saw a few one or two white individuals there, and I was like, oh, there's all different people here, but mainly black. It was South London, ghetto, Brixton. Everyone knows South London. So I was like, and I saw these men, and I was like, these are hardened people, and they were elders, people that you wouldn't look twice at. They said, boy, come here, you come here. Okay. They knew we were little rugrats. They knew, okay, these youngers, they look like us.
Right.
So when we came in, because we came in numbers, remember? The week before, some of the younger ones of us had gone in. Then us older ones, the bangers, came in. And they were like, oh, what's going on here?
Right.
So I didn't know if becoming a Muslim, I thought, okay, they're going to tell me to strip down to my underwear. I might have to run around the block. They're going to hang me outside naked and then say you become a Muslim. I didn't know what it was to become part of the fraternity, as it were. And when they told me to take the Shahada, they explained it in English. Then I said it in Arabic, struggled through the wording. Then I saw these same grown men. You know, our culture, we don't cry.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, crying is weakness. We just don't cry.
Right.
You're in pain. You're being brutalized. We don't cry. I saw these grown men who I walked in and saw. I'd fear these men in the street weeping. And I thought, wow. And they came to me and said, you've just said the heaviest statement in this life, and it will get you through in the hereafter. Yeah. And they embraced me. And for the first time, I'll stop on this point, when we went and performed ablution and we stood to pray, because remember, I was a Roman Catholic before. I was going in and out of church, didn't believe in it. When I stood and when I bowed, that feeling of bowing to Allah, the one God, and then prostrating, I still feel the goosebumps now. It's like, now I'm worshipping He who created me properly. Amazing feeling.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was a similar space, right? Like I had, I feel like I had everything that I needed. So basketball was my only focus for a long time, right? It was like, all right, I had a lot of success early. I felt like it was a chance for some things to happen. And in my house, my mom never forced me to do anything. Nothing. Like, we believe in God, of course. I mean, we're from the South. We're from our grandmother's from a small county called Victoria outside of Richmond. And so that's like Southern Virginia. So that's Christianity, Baptist. I remember going to church and everything. But my mom never was like, yo, you Christian, we're going to Bible study on Wednesday. Nah. I mean, she's like, yo, you got games every weekend. So how does this go? But just know that God is real. And she always let me explore that way. And I always had questions. OG, Coach King would tell you, I get on his nerves with every time somebody tell me something like, something not right. It stemmed from being led the wrong way by people before and like not liking that feeling. So now I pay attention to little things, but I always had questions about stuff and nobody can answer them the way that I want it. I was like, it's not making sense. Right. And then for college, I went to a Mennonite university for basketball. It's one of those spaces where you won't go unless you hooping. Right. And that's how it is sometimes, to where colleges are what they are. Sometimes we only get to certain places because of basketball or whatever sport. And I was there and, you know, they forced us to have Bible class and everything. And I was like, man, this not right. Try to force you to go to chapel. And I wasn't going. I'm like, I'm not doing that. You're not going to force me to do any of these things. But in graduate school, when I went back, because they're like a nonviolent school and they do a lot of great things and all these other things, I had to study Islam, Hinduism, and Judaism. And then I went and met with the rabbi. And I was just looking, I was like, there's so many similarities to everything, but something just feels off about the people that's within this space, right? And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to study and read these on my own. with no questions, with nobody else, and just see what makes the most sense and how things are going. And what connected with me was I like discipline because of basketball, right? I like knowing that I'm going to work out this day, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to go play this, and I need a schedule. I mean, look at this crazy face, man. But so what it was when it was done, I was like, I feel like, you know, I'm solid, I'm smart, I'm all these other things. My aunt always says, you're rich in everything else, the money will come later, right? I feel like I was solid at my core values. And I was looking at what I appreciate as far as taking care of people, right? Being honest, not lying, you know, not looking down on anybody, taking care of the poor, women, how you interact with women and all that stuff. And I was like, look, that's right there with how I feel, with how my elders are with things. So it just makes sense. And so I didn't have all the answers still. And my wife kept telling me, you're not going to have all the answers. So you just going to say it. Just go say it. Just go do it today before you get on the plane. And so that's what led me there. But, and then the beauty is like, because everybody will be watching and be like, yo, Yates converted. Like, is Coach King going to do something? Or is Coach King saying, or is he looking at you crazy like that? And I'm like, some people ask me, does he believe in God? I'm like, yeah. Like, well, basketball, right? You always say the Lord's Prayer before the game, right? And that was always our thing in school, too. I was like, I always know that. But I was like, we all come from the same space. Like, we don't just take, because we know Christianity was a tool for slavery at a point, and we know the Bible did. So we all are in the same space where we just can't trust anybody. So I was like, the one thing about my OG, because my uncle is in Senegal, right? And that's a Muslim country as well. And he's there. And between him being my left and Coach King being my right, both of them was like, that's for you, right? That's what makes sense. We knew it was going to come a time, and we understand it and respect it too, right? And that's one thing that helped me move. And I know OG probably has a few questions about things too. So I'll let him, take it.
Well, first I want to say that to everybody out there,
don't get on here lying.
No,
get on here lying.
I've done nothing but supported you.
Always,
I pushed you. I said, if you feel right about it, do it.
Yeah, always.
You know what I mean, for those out there that may have asked you questions on the side, does Coach King believe in God? Mojo, Jojo, which he'll be here next week.
Yeah,
next week, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna kill him when I see him. Yeah, I believe in God, but I worship in my own way.
Yeah,
he knows since the time I do my thing. I do everything my own way. That's just how I am.
It's always genuine, though. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's always genuine.
But my question for you guys, I've heard Coach Ryan say this a couple times during this episode. You guys are reverts. Can you please explain to me and everybody listening what you mean by that?
And this is an interesting thing because I was reading recently. Now, reverts, there's a discussion. And I was on the fence, but I'm now more inclined to say convert.
Okay.
Revert means that we were all born in a state of natural submission. Our disposition was that of Muslims. But there's a narration that every human being was born in a state of submission. That was their natural disposition. Because God is the one who created us. But our parents, our environment is what changes us to go to become Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, and the like. So those of us who come back to the religion, it's seen as a returning to the religion, are considered reverts. Okay. But now, for me, reading recently a very good article from a Muslim saying, is that a correct term to use? And I know when I was writing my PhD up, and I said to myself, am I going to use revert? Am I going to use convert? I opted to use convert. For us who weren't Muslim but became converts, because there are reverts, those who were Muslims, they stopped practicing, they went out there, they did their thing, and then they had a cognitive opening and said, I now want to practice again. They are reverts.
Okay.
So
what's the literal term, like what's the literal meaning of Muslim though? Because I think that also helps with those things.
Being a Muslim is one who submits to Islam. So it's submission to Islam. Through peace, not through violent means, but through peace. So I know many use revert and convert interchangeably, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Some will use strictly the term revert. I'm okay with that, but I think it has a limitation because of what I've just mentioned to you there. I use the term convert because I feel that speaks to the journey there was a conversion process that we went through, and we're still going through as we learn and we develop.
It's great that you use the term peace in terms of submission to Islam, because like before I came to the Middle East, I'd been everywhere, but you know, the view outside of the Middle East of Islam is negative a lot of times,
right?
You know, but even though the view had been negative, I had met a lot of people that, you know, practice Islam, and they were beautiful people,
right?
And you know, and so I learned a long time ago that, you know, a lot of religion that we have that was forced upon us wasn't necessarily the right path in terms of worshiping,
right?
And so I had an open mind towards everything, but you know, that's not the entire community that I was involved in. So I'm glad that you said, you know, submission by peace, because like I said, you know, people that don't get the opportunity to come here and sit down and be in a Muslim country or meet people from Muslim country, they have no idea that, you know, if you are a true Muslim and you're worshiping Islam, you know, you're all about peace.
Right.
You know, of course there's outliers in every religion, every country, every continent, whatever. But, you know, the majority of everything with Islam is peaceful.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's wonderful.
And I think you can actually, what you're saying is perfect in the sense that even Muslims, if they are submitting and it's not from peace, it's with a political means, a violent means, then have they really submitted? Because when you submit, you're saying, okay, this is about an internal aspect, first and foremost, primarily. And if you don't feel that tranquility, then you've got to ask yourself, then what am I doing? Now, again, what I studied in my PhD, I looked at abstract understanding and application and actualized understanding. So you came to the Middle East and you saw the actualization of Islam. How naturally people are breathing, living it. They have no issues with other faiths, and it's a Muslim country, but everyone else is welcome. Whereas when we live it in abstract, and that's mainly outside of Muslim countries, for the most part, you've taken the text, you've taken ideas, you've taken idealism, and you've tried to reinvent or reenact that idealism. And that's when the problem comes about, because it becomes distorted. And you become overzealous, saying everyone else is wrong. In the Muslim world, they've got it wrong. This is what the text says. This is how I understand it. This is how I'm going to try and implement it. And it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. This religion was here a lot longer than you were and I were.
There are a few things that like helped me make it easy, but I was hesitant, right? One was because, you know, they have fraternities and things in America, Black fraternities and Greeks, and I was never in any of those things. I was, you know, I think maybe it's a basketball player thing, or depending.
For sure, it is.
I don't need to be a part of a group to feel like I am a guy or anything. And I don't need to feel like I got to be accepted by somebody, right? I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't want to be forced into anything. So looking at Islam from a Western perspective, media-wise, seeing people, it was almost like Arabs were gatekeepers, right? Like if you become Muslim, you lose your culture. As like me, I lose hip hop, I lose everything. I can't talk the way I used to talk. I can't dress the way I used to dress. I gotta wear thobe. I gotta wrap around my head. I gotta do everything the way they do it. And for me, I was like, I'm not doing that, right? Like even with my wife, she give me, I say, I'm not wearing an Emirati thobe because I'm not Arab. Right, I don't know. I haven't done my 23andMe and my heritage thing, but my blood is probably from somewhere in Africa or the Caribbean or something, right? And so if I can figure that out, if I'm going to dress like a Muslim, I'm going to dress like a Muslim from there. But I'm not Arab, and I don't want to try to be Arab because, like Coach said, people force things on us forever. And so we're finally starting to cultivate our own everything. So if I convert to Islam, does that mean I lose my religion? And I mean, do I lose my person, who I am individually, right? Because Arabs say you got to do this, you got to do that, and they treat it as their religion.
A very important point, I think, really, and with Coach being here to hear that, because some of us went through that in the early days in the 90s because we weren't shown. We equated Islam with Arabization or being Asian. And so I wear the thobe and everything, but we wear it our way. We got our Nikes and whatever. We change up the stitching and everything like that now. Yeah. But when I saw and started looking at that, I'm saying, hold on a minute. Even the way women were dressing, and when I went back to the UK, I'd say, why are you wearing the black? This is peculiar for the Middle East. You can wear different colors. Yeah. You can, as long as you're complying with the dress code and everything like that. I'd be saying to my friends, I work in the legal profession. I'm not wearing a thobe to the office. Yeah. And I'm going to wear a suit, and I'm going to wear a fly suit. I've always worn and dressed that way. So our culture, and this is an important thing for us as Black people as well, from the West, because our culture, we had to invent, develop, because we take smatterings from Africa, because yes, okay, we identify with that, from the Americas, because we identify with those regions. But to come into a faith and then get rid of everything else that was there before, because you're told that it's antithetical, it's opposite to the religion. We were being told that. And some of us were like, hold on a minute. And we started kicking back. The problem was some of our co-religionists, African-American, African-Caribbean, I call myself Afropean, they would speak with that language that no, anything to do with Blackness, you cannot be this way. And they would start speaking with the accent of an Arab, and they're not from Arabs. They would use that for nothing wrong with using the language, but speaking with that intonation that's Arab and everything. It's like, hold on, but you're from South London. Yeah. Right. So what's going on here? Right. Yeah. So what you said is a very, very important point, that Islam, as some of our elders used to tell us, Islam hasn't come to take away our culture. Right. It's reinforcing that aspect of culture that is conducive to Islam. There's a verse in the Quran, Ryan, that says, Allah's made us into tribes and nations so that we may know each other. Yes. That we may know. And the best of you is the one who's the most God-fearing. So how do you reconcile that? It didn't say all of you must become Arab, Pakistani, Nigerian, Filipino. It doesn't say that. And that when I say that, meaning you don't have to take on the culture of a place or people that is alien to you. Yeah.
And that's opposed to, right? And I read that too. That's when there's God in that moment. He created us all different cultures, different spaces. We understand that everything was manipulated by him for us to learn from each other, right? Because he's all-knowing, and us, we're supposed to be out here discovering. Yes. So I'm supposed to see, lumpia from, I like that, right? I like this Tagalog. I like to eat Jamaican food. I like the music from here. I like all of those things. We don't all need to be one, right? So that was good. But the other thing that made me hesitant was the fear base. So we talked about how we gave in one episode, we talked about business. And we just talked about it like plainly, and because we're from the street like you, right? And so we talked about it in a way that our people would know, like, look, it's tough. It's tough. But if you plan right, prepare right, you got a good team, you can make it happen. Right. But the tone in which we spoke, it was different. We watch a lot of these people that sell these coaching things or whatever, they have a certain cadence about it when they're talking. Right? It's like they're selling you something. It's like they rehearsed it. It's like it's those people knocking on your door trying to sell you something type thing. And I was like, when I was watching some videos, because now there's a thing on TikTok, right? TikTok is huge. And I know in Islam, in the community, in Ummah, it's, as far as the scholars, you have to be really credible. You can't just call yourself a scholar and give out information and knowledge if it's not accurate, right? Because that's dangerous. Yes. But now with TikTok, nobody can regulate that. And so people are out there that are scholars saying things all over the place. But I didn't like the idea of just being afraid of God just out of simply fear. Right? Yeah. I was like, that don't sit right with me. It don't make any type of sense. Yeah. Right. And then I forgot, maybe it was Imam Omar Suleiman or somebody. They were talking about the fear you're supposed to feel is the fear out of love. So like the fear of upsetting your mom or disappointing your mom when she worked so hard for this and you go to school and you do whatever else. I was like, I can resonate with that.
That's right.
I'm not about to be sitting here watching the guy with the big beard yelling at me and say, you're going to go to hell if you don't do this. And the tone is crazy and all this. I'm saying, it's not in line.
No.
Right? But that's what you see. Right? Because it's reaction, it's a media age, it's people that's just trying to get as many clicks, as many views on things, but it's dangerous.
And it's not, the religion is not one that is predicated upon fear.
Exactly.
That fear of Allah, you remember you're told to fear, hope, love, and trust. These are all, they come together.
Yeah.
That fear is a cognizance, it's a recognition, as you've said. Like, so for example, if we're driving down the street and we hear the sirens going in America or the UK, you know immediate black people, tense. Yeah. We're going to change out how we're dealing with things. So then we say, well, okay, so if you're going to do that really bad thing here, and you know Allah's watching you, why aren't you going to react in a similar way and say, you know what, I better back up because Allah's watching me and it's not good. It's not a good look.
Right.
In that sense. So as you're saying that, and I don't want to upset him. So in that instance, but then you have hope. I've done something wrong. And I'm not damned to hellfire because I've got the hope that Allah is merciful and He's forgiven me. And I love Him and I trust Him. All of these come together and it puts a totally different context on just focusing on fear.
Right.
And the doomsayers of, remember you used to have those people walking up and down and saying the day of judgment is near, and they'd walk up and down and just to instill fear in people. So really what I would say about a number of the people on social media now, they're edutainers. Then it's not scholars, it's edutainment. That's what it's become.
Like any religion, any career, any industry, whatever, there's always a few bad people that penetrate the system and get a platform.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
It's dangerous now, though, because that thing, like TikTok, people can put up, within a day, you can have 1 million people that have seen it.
True.
And there's no algorithm like there is with Instagram and stuff to where they controlling things. Like, that thing goes. That thing goes crazy. I mean, Coach, you got any questions about misconceptions or things you might have heard about Islam from back in home or seen? we've seen some things for sure.
Well, of course I have 1 million, but we don't have enough time for them. But one thing in particular, and Ryan brought this up to me the other day because we kind of argued about it a little bit. If we were on the streets in the UK right now and we reference somebody from Asia, tell me what country do you think they would be from?
If we're in the UK,
you're talking about an Asian. What does an Asian look like? It
would be Pakistani, Bangladeshi, like this.
Yeah, and see, I get that, but for us in the States, we're thinking Oriental.
Exactly. And that confused me because when I was looking and doing research in America, and I thought I need to look at how the Asians are treated over there, and then I kept seeing Chinese people. And I was like, hold on, and that's when it's. Then I realized, okay. And I spoke to my wife. She's Chinese Jamaican. I said, so Chinese are Asian? And she goes, yeah, they're considered that. I thought, so, but then my question to you is, what do you categorize South Asians, Pakistanis, Bangladesh?
Middle East.
No.
And that's, we're completely wrong.
Right.
And I didn't know I was wrong until 48 hours ago.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you just confirmed it. Because I don't take anything that he says. so you confirmed it. You confirmed it. Okay.
No, but that's something that's when we realize, like, oh, the world is way bigger than we really understand, right? It's bigger, and then it's also still small because we're still all so interconnected. We will have some questions about the UK culture and lifestyle, the food.
But before we move on to that, there's one thing as well. Another one maybe confuses you both, because it confuses me. Okay. Why is it that countries that are in Africa are considered Arab?
The North, like the MENA?
Egypt,
Sudan.
And I asked that question, and I said to myself, some geopolitics has gone on there.
Yeah.
So
because Africa is Africa.
Right.
Man. So this is I think this ties into why I was like, since I'm here, I gotta have a Black mentor in Islam. So my wife is Emirati, right? And we know that Emirates itself is a very, very, very young country.
Right.
Extremely young. right? And there's stories about how it came together, but what a pure Emirati is, you know, it's hard to say because they come from Yemen, they come from Pakistan, come from a lot of different backgrounds.
Like other Arab, Middle East Arab countries.
Right. And so we went viral, so to speak, on TikTok on my wife's page. And it was like, it was a little trend of what I was going. It was like, oh man, he's American, she's Emirati, her family would never accept. But hey, they did. We're here. And under the comment, it was a lot of great comments, but they were being nasty. They were being terrible. And it was locals. It was people that was like, you're black, you're dark skinned, you can't be Arab, you gotta be pale, you gotta be white, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. You're a mixed breed, you can't be this, you can't be that. And just understanding that, you know, I look at everything, right? And so when I see beauty products in the drugstore here, there are products here to make your skin whiter.
Yeah.
Right? Like your makeup is here whiter. And so it's looked at to like be divine or like more pure or natural if you're a woman and you're as pale as possible in the Arab culture. Right? And so when you talk about like my wife, her grandparents or whatever, originally from Tanzania and then Oman. Right? And I don't hear them talking much about that space, but I don't hear Arabs who are black, period, talk about their connection with Africa because of the stigma, you know, colorization and everything there. So I think that's a part of why, because of slaves, right? Like, you know, there's Sudanese or Afro-Arabs, right? We talk about those things, but I think that has to do with slaves because the Arabs had a slave trade as well.
Right, that's right.
And they had a connection with that. So I think a lot of that has to do with that and then the stigma. Because even here, you know, Coach and I, we still struggle looking at like the people who are the help and who doing domestic work and they look like us. Right. When they have certain jobs and like sometimes we see security at certain places and stuff and they damn near hug us. Right. Because they're looking at us like, oh, we're free. But that's how it is on this side of the world. Right. And so I think some of that has to do with a little bit of colonization. Right.
And I think that's a very important point we've both spoken to. And that's why I'm a very strong advocate to highlight Black excellence.
Let's do it.
And for me, even when I look at the those who are helping and in that instance there, I always give an acknowledgement because they are me and I am them.
Man, let's talk about it. Look, we put that. Yes, sir.
And I want them to see that. And I want everyone else, because people see the profession, where I am, what I'm doing, and oh, you're different. I'm the same as them, and they're the same as me.
That's
and
important.
What I think is very important that we've got to look at, we're living in a time of Western civilization, which is imperialism, which is white. Okay, we've got to, as I say to people, if you look at Black excellence and where it extends to, Black history did not start at state slavery; it was interrupted by it.
Yes.
So when you go back and you see many of the foundations around the world, around the Americas, everywhere else, you see Black excellence. And I think that's not being pro-Black and pro-nationalist. That's being pro-truth.
Yeah.
That's about reconfiguring and showing what everyone has contributed to the world as we are at today. When you look at what happened with England when they went to Egypt and they saw the Sphinx.
Yeah.
What did he do? Because he saw the black features on the nose, the mouth, he put a cannon and blew it off. Who does that? Because they went there and saw Black excellence.
Yeah.
The problem is, Black people need to start owning it. And when I say owning it, in the way we carry ourselves, in the way we move and traverse society, and that we don't follow only those paths that they have set for us in society, we take our own.
Right.
Yeah.
And support each other in that.
That's the
like
biggest
you said,
one.
someone may be going down a particular path. Don't knock him down because he's going in that direction and you may not understand it. That's the path he needs to take.
Right.
Try and understand it and say, this is his path. He has to take it. Let's empathize with him and where necessary, support him.
Because at the end of the day, what our people as a whole don't understand sometimes is that if the three of us are trying to make it, our paths may be different, and that's okay as long as we get to where we want to go.
Right.
And that's the thing, because I don't care, throughout history, somebody has had to be in that room.
Yes.
If you don't make it to that room, nothing's gonna change.
That's right.
You know, and so the thing is, what you sacrifice to be in that room is the negative perception you have from your people, but they don't know what you're going through.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's why we're leaders, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're all given a different bandwidth. Everybody's not supposed to be the same. My understanding and my ordained path is different than somebody else's, but I got to carry it the way it is. And we're looking at 3 different generations right here, right? And 3 different backgrounds. And what was important for us to have you on, not just because you're a great person and everything, but you're an ally in the UK. Right? And we don't get to see, we're starting to see now because of hip hop, because of music, that there's a lot of things going on there that is similar to us here, but everything in between, right? That Black excellence you talk about. We got great writers, we got great journalists. I love British media, especially the way they write the TV shows. You know, it's different. So we got a lot of things there. It's congruent. There's a lot of similarities there. And the quicker we can band together, get with our brothers in Nigeria, Ghana, and everybody that has wealth and moves and start to build together around, as you said, now we become invincible. Yes. Right? Because we talk about one of the things that makes it hard for us to stand on our 10 and be solid and just fight for us is we don't have a security blanket.
Yeah.
No,
right? And that's what makes it difficult. That's why we talk about the support being so important, because like OG said, but we talk about it all the time with the way things happen in the NBA and they fake fight sometimes. And the NBA is guaranteed money. If I got a guaranteed 20, I might punch you in the mouth.
Yeah.
Because I get suspended one game, I get suspended one thing, I still get about $20 million. But if we look at, talking about imperialism and everything, we look at how the other side moves. They move like, I can do whatever because I got this sitting right here. I got the Walmarts. I own Walmart. I'm a Rockefeller. I own this. I own that. And we don't, right? And so for me, Islam helps me with that, with standing on that, to where it's like, that's why I'm fearless.
Right.
But for other of us who don't, it's like me and Coach talk about all the time. It's like, we got to deal with so much because we don't have the extra funds to go do all of this on our own as far as business goes, right? And certain things that we always got to dot our I's, cross our T's. And then when the other person doesn't, or somebody else we're going to work with, we got to clean that up too, because it's just the way it is right now. When you don't have the expendable funds, the disposable income to just be throwing stuff at it. Like, all right, let's see if it stick. And if it don't stick, I'll be okay.
But on that's a very important point. One of the things, we don't have that. But what we do have is intellectual capital.
Yeah.
And we mustn't sell our intellectual capital too cheap and too short. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of takers for it. They may play ball and say, we don't need you. We're just going to throw investment here. But I've seen so many times they come back.
Always.
What do you want? So no, what do I want? Okay, I'm not going to put a figure on it because this intellectual capital is too difficult to quantify. Let's start the process. And then let's look at the tangibles that you're investing, and then you multiply that by 5, 10, whatever. Then you're talking about the capital, because it doesn't just stop there. Some of them try and get your whole idea from you, and then they drop you by the wayside. Mm-hmm. We've got to be smarter than that. Yeah. I'll give you some. You take that, and I'm still with you. Yeah. 5 years, 10 years down the line, unless I want to do like what Dr. Dre did. He sold his the beats and became a billionaire and everything like that. But he did it at the time that was right for him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. That's we'll end it with something a little bit lighter. All right, there's one thing I gotta ask you. Right, I gotta ask you. So, as you said, we live in a Western society. So in America, especially in the Black homes, there's not much marriage, period, right? And now we hear stories about things, but you've talked about your wife. Would you have 16 kids?
16 plus 3 stepchildren.
3 stepchildren. Now, you gotta, and Illy, your oldest at the moment right now, I'm around him a lot. We've had all 3 of your young boys at camp with us, and we've been around them, very solid. You know, guys that are guys, you know, they're still young, they're learning things, but they're solid. It's like they carry the Baker name well. I mean, there's a bunch of questions, right? But how did you do it? Like, did you all 16 of you and your other wives lived in one house at one time?
No, what we had was my wives all got on very well. Initially, it was a big thing for them because it was plural marriage, and my first wife knows how I was back in the day, and it's like, look, I love women. I love the company of women. Islam's allowed me to do this. I want to do this. And so when I married, and they're from all different ethnicities, all British, but different. One white British, one Chinese Jamaican, black British, one Asian.
I'm converting.
Welcome. So they got on very well. It's a big network. And they all got to know each other of choice. My wives, because it's not something, I didn't want to enforce this on them because it's a difficult thing for them to do initially. But then they all started wanting to be together. The children, sometimes when one was pregnant, and for example, I was at a funeral at one time, and my second wife was expecting, and Ilyas's mother said, "Look, I'll take her to the hospital. Do what you got to do. I'll meet." And then when I got to the hospital, she took our children and took them home. So they worked as a network, and the children really loved the fact they could see there's so many of us. Now, when I split with my wives, we did, some of us divorced, two of them we divorced over years. So I was being in plural marriage for about 20 years, period 20 years. Then Ilyas's mum said, bring them all to us, our villa's big enough. So I think it's around 2013, all of them moved in, and it was absolutely amazing.
Even after the marriage?
Yeah. And the other wives were okay, because they knew, look, I like my children around me, so there was no issue with that. So we had all of them in the household. And it was lively. The older ones take on the maternal role in the sense that they help with the management of the younger ones and everything like that. The younger ones gravitate to the older ones and everything. And so it was an active, lively, wonderful household for the greater part, I would say. And now everyone's everywhere, UK, Saudi, here. And when they're communicating, we remember this. And I used to invent games. Like we had Baker Olympics and we had Baker Ball and we had these games that I made up these games just for our children. And they were like, yeah, this is great. So on Eid celebrations, we'd be doing that and things. So for me, after you've had 4, I'm saying as a father, when you've got 3, you're like, oh, stressful. I remember what it's like having 2. When you get to 4 and 5, it doesn't matter if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the same.
I actually heard that before. It sounds nuts.
It does sound, it's the same.
Jamila, my wife, talking about she wants 6, and I'm thinking about, 1. 1, talking about 6. Like, you getting crazy. But you said 16, mashallah. I was like, man. Man.
4 married now, as I said, and 3, it comes... 4 of them, 3 of them in the last 6 months, all married to an individual. All of their husbands are called Umar.
I like how you use the term lively. You know damn well that wasn't. It was loud. It was loud. Let's be honest now. Loud.
Yeah, man.
Yes, very.
Man, that's interesting. All right, so I got some just UK stuff. Right? Why is the food so terrible, man? Let's put it this way. The British food, right?
There he is.
Listen, I sent you the picture.
It's not terrible. It's just...
What's the picture I sent you with? It was French fries and peas.
Yeah, see, now, you're right there. See, when you're talking about English...
All right, so I want you to break it down.
That was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
My wife talked about certain things, and I was like, look, America has like 100 different Americas. The America that I grew up in and I live in, we don't eat what you saw right there, right? We have what we call soul food and other things. So is that the same dynamic?
Same dynamic. So,
right. So if we going to the UK, we going to London. Let's say we're doing a live show on a podcast in London somewhere, and we need to eat, right? What type of spots are we going to?
You've got Indian cuisine, which is the number one meal there for the Brits at the moment. And it's been like that for decades now. Yeah. You've got the African Caribbean cuisine. You can have Arab cuisine, Lebanese cuisine. You've got all of that. Now, if you want English, if you want English...
Let's stop. What he means is we're coming to stay with you where you grew up. We're talking about the hood.
Where are you taking us?
Where are we going to eat?
What's the name? What you ordering?
So we're going to be eating ackee and saltfish.
Okay.
We're going to be eating
do
brown rice. We're going to be eating rice and peas, jerk chicken.
I need plantains.
Yeah, no, all of that.
Okay.
You're going to be eating soul food.
Okay.
Red stripe for you, OG?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, I can adjust.
Okay. That's more like it, because we looking and we're like, man.
No, that's all you do. And you know, the funny thing is, when we've got some of our colleagues coming from the Middle East as well, from UAE, we take them straight down there. And we say to them, right, you ready? They say, how do you want? See, you talk about spicy over here. You don't know spicy from where we come from.
All right. So look, though, I told OG this story the other day. And I was like, I think I'm getting old. Because spicy don't hit my stomach the same way it did back in the day. So I'm taking my spice level from, the hottest of hot down to like mild, maybe medium. Because you got to be careful. Like my mom says, certain things I don't eat when I'm out and about. I got to be in the crib because it's a little different. So that spice level different.
So I'm glad you brought the spice up, because that takes me back to a time I was on a team. And a friend of mine from Jersey, we call him the main event. And we were playing somewhere, and we had a day off. And so we went off with, some young ladies, whatever, we're chilling, whatever. And he kind of dozed off. He was a little, he was tired, whatever. And I took some West Indian hot sauce and put it on a spoon and put it in his mouth.
Ooh.
And at the time, I didn't know West Indian hot sauce was that hot. But let's just say he didn't talk to me for a year.
I'm not surprised.
He didn't talk to me for a year. The expression on his face when it finally hit, it's ingrained in my brain right now. And if I called him today, he'll burst out laughing. But then he have like 5 seconds of silence where he's mad at me. You know what I'm saying? So what is
call main event?
What is the hottest
main event? Call him.
What is the hottest food you've ever eaten? Spiciest or whatever. I'm saying West Indian hot sauce. I never think nothing like that.
For me, it's Jamaican food, and it's when they've put the spices in with the capsicum, the peppers, and everything. And you've got different grades. Now you've got South Asian spice, and that can be hot when they're doing their vindaloos and everything like that. But when the West Indians, but Jamaican cuisine is excellent. But when they drop that pepper, okay, and for example, if you've got a cold and you eat the food,
open you up,
your nose is open, you're breathing, you're smelling scents from miles away that you've never smelt before. This is the cuisine that is there, and I love that. But there are two things now. You can buy the hot pepper sauce over the counter. It's called Incona, and they have some other ones. But when they're making it from home, if they're saying this is homemade pepper,
watch out.
Literally just say, can you just put a drop on the side of the plate? And that's it. Yeah. Don't do what some of us were doing. Yeah, I want the hot pepper sauce. And we were sprinkling it everywhere. Yeah. Water, lemonade, ice, doesn't do it. Doesn't do it. It's that hot.
So have you hit the Jamaican spots around here yet?
Yeah, I've ordered from one. There's one near in downtown. King Irie. But what they're doing, they're catering to a palate that doesn't deal with the spices.
All right. So look, Jamaican is up there.
It is.
For me.
Yes.
For me, right? And so we ain't gonna say on any names yet until we blow up a little bit. I'm gonna knock on the door and let them know we can, partner together. Good. But we got a spot. We got a person that he can put it together. We can put it together.
Then I need to visit.
We'll link. Yes, we will for sure. Because it's about time. And Coach and I, we love good food.
Yeah, we gotta talk, man. Because I got some questions for you, like Jamaican rum. The kind that gets you healthy after you've been sick. Ray and Myers. Like, we need to talk about that.
Ray and nephew.
Yeah, okay, that's what it's called. Ray and nephew.
So before I was Muslim, what we used to do in summer, my wife and I, Ilyas's mum. So she introduced me to Ray and nephew. So she said to me, you know what? Let me introduce you this way. So she got some vanilla ice cream. And she said, right, okay, you're going to like this. So she had the ice cream, then she poured a drop of Ray and Nephew's on it. And I saw it melt. And I was like, what proof rum is that? And she started laughing. So she goes, taste it. When I tasted it, I actually got drunk off having ice cream rum. Ice cream rum. She said, you need to stop. But the taste was that delicious. That, so for me, I can even taste it now, even though I've not drank alcohol for over 32 years.
It's funny you said that because back in the day, I used to be a drinker. I don't really partake that much now. But one capful of that had me on my toes. Like I like, listen, I'm telling you, like I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
But it had, I was 110% healthy the next day.
But if you were with the Jamaican friends and family of mine, and you had that one, just say you're lightweight, because the half the bottle would have to have gone, if not a whole bottle, then they'd be tapping you and saying, right, bring the other one.
Oh yeah, I'm a lightweight anyway, so it's cool, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
you know what's funny? I'm looking at my camera here. This guy, we learned a lot about him. The hot sauce in his friend's mouth when he's sleeping, and then the lightweight stuff. Those of you that know JK, Jupac, this guy's interesting, right? All those shots he throws at me. What type of human are you? Somebody sleep, peace, is chilling, and you're gonna go put some hot sauce in their mouth, man. And you guys will go do the run backs.
Jamaican hot sauce,
West Indian. Like you talk about me all the time. Wow, that's crazy. The nerve.
It was just a little bit.
And you're lightweight now, huh?
Yeah.
I hear you. You are a heavy donut eater these days, but I'm right with you. But OG, man, thank you for gracing us with your presence. As always, I appreciate every moment it is to talk. You guys are listening. You really got the chance to sit in on a conversation that this is something that you would have with your OGs if you're just sitting around kicking, just watching a game or something. There's 3 different generations here. This is a lot that can be learned. So before we end every podcast, because we're basketball guys, right? At the end of every game, coach always win, lose, or draw. We always get a post-game wrap-up in the locker room. And so we end the episodes with a post-game wrap-up. It's just one message, wherever your heart is pushing you to. There's one message that you want to leave, your one line or one word, whatever it is that you want to say. We'll let you rock with it. So we'll let you end it for us today. We'll let Coach go first, and I'll go after him, and then you go.
Okay. Mine almost always pertains to what we've been talking about. And for this particular episode, it's the opportunity to grow as a person, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Mm-hmm. And so that means, opening my mind. And so, that's what I was able to do tonight in terms of asking questions that have been lingering in my mind, in terms of, Islam and the Muslim culture, and just being able to understand things a little bit better. Because I told you the perception that has been presented to me the majority of my life has been a negative perception. And so, being in Dubai, being in the UAE, and getting a chance to meet people such as yourself and see different aspects of the religion, the culture, has really helped me a lot. So I appreciate that. And so, for everybody out there, just open your mind to do things and be willing to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Mm-hmm. As always, good work. As you guys know, we always draw from personal experiences or whatever we learned. Today, I want to point out that people who are trustworthy and reliable are more valued than high-skilled people. You can be taught anything. I can teach you anything. Coach can teach you anything. But I can't teach you to be reliable and to be trustworthy. Right? Those type of things, those are those intangibles that coaches look for, people look for in wives and husbands. And when you're building dreams, like Coach and I are trying to build something that's going to affect more than just one person or more than just our pockets, we're not looking for people that may have the gold resume or maybe the one that can do a bunch of flips with their camera. We're just looking for people who are trustworthy and reliable, because that's what we are. And that also means you can count on us to stick by you as you work on whatever it is you're working on, because the skills will come and go, right? You'll have all those things ebb and flows. You have your good days, your bad. But what has to be consistent is your integrity. And so put an emphasis on you being trustworthy, you being reliable. right? Because we can count on that. And there's not many people in this world that you can say are always going to be trusted and reliable. So that's gold.
All I'd say to wrap up from what both of you have said, excellent points, is that here today, as Ryan has highlighted, there's 3 generations here. And we're in a time where we're being pulled away from referencing our elders, referencing the history. And social media is telling us that is the reference source. We need to go back to an age-old, life-old tradition of referencing the experiences of our elders. And also, we've got to look inside ourselves and know that we've got qualities that can be developed and built upon. We don't need to be validated externally. We can validate ourselves.
There we go. And as you guys know, Hoop Mountain Dubai, Hoop Mountain DXB, hoopmountain.ae. We have some exciting things coming forward. Make sure you guys, if you're in Dubai, if you want to get the American experience, as we always say, Coach and I talk back. Send a message on Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever it is. Check us out. We're growing. We come join the family. You know what it is. BTG Nation. Go to Manscaped. Use that code. Get yourself right. And as always, keep it simple, keep it real, and keep going.
Player and coach, brother to brother. They both got views that you need to discover. From sports, current events to just life talk. Whether you on a fast break or a nice walk, gotta tune in. You already know, G. This BTG Nation and you one of the homies. Just tune in. You already know, G. BTG Nation, the other ones in the nosebleeds.